The story begins with a young girl who rushes home eagerly to play her favorite video game. However, her world takes a surreal twist. A truck suddenly appears and tragically runs her over. The girl finds herself reincarnated into the body of Princess Pride, an evil character from the game destined to be the final boss and bring ruin to the kingdom in the game world. As she awakens in her new reality, collapsing on the floor, panic ensues among the servants. The girl, now inhabiting Princess Pride's body, realizes that she must play the role of the antagonist, causing destruction and chaos over the next decade, ultimately leading to her downfall at the hands of the game's protagonist. She learns that her character is supposed to be the evil Princess Pride, tasked with committing atrocities and causing the kingdom's downfall. Her father, Prince Consort Albert, enters her room to check on her and informs her that her mother, Queen Rosa, is concerned. Rosa is a powerful leader in the kingdom, rarely present due to her royal duties. The girl's younger sister, Tyara, is revealed to be the protagonist of the game, and her mother, Rosa, possesses the same power of precognition as the girl. This ability to foresee events is highly valued in the kingdom, and those possessing it are chosen to succeed to the throne. However, the girl, now Pride, knows that her situation is different. She is aware of the game's storyline and the impending bad ending where either Tiara or her love interest dies. She is determined not to force this tragic outcome, as both Tyara and her love interest are good people, unlike Pride's character. Pride's interaction with Albert leads to suspicions that she may have the power of precognition as well. This causes Albert to treat her with newfound respect and regard her as the genuine crown princess, further diverting the story from its expected path. Throughout her early days in the game world, Pride struggles with the conflicting knowledge she possesses and the role she's supposed to play as the antagonist. Pride's compassion and empathy start to emerge as she interacts with her younger brother-in-law, Stale, who is one of the potential love interests in the game. She discovers that Stale possesses teleportation abilities but has been suppressed by handcuffs due to past escape attempts. Pride decides to help Stale reunite with his mother, defying the story's constraints. However, as they spend time together, Pride's memories of the cruel actions her character took in the game haunt her. She realizes the stark contrast between her own emotions and those of her character, which leads her to question the possibility of altering the story's outcome. Despite her doubts, she continues to form genuine connections, especially with Stale. Pride's compassion deepens when Stale falls ill, triggering memories of his painful past and separation from his mother. This shared experience brings them closer, and Pride becomes determined to protect Stale and ensure his happiness, even at the expense of the game's predetermined narrative. Their bond strengthens when Pride orchestrates a heartwarming reunion between Stale and his mother, earning Stale's undying loyalty and gratitude. The relationship between them becomes one of mutual trust, and Stale resolves to become stronger to protect Pride and challenge the story's constraints. Back in the game, Stale attempts to kill Pride after being coerced into killing his mother. In this dreamlike scenario, Stale confronts Pride, where Pride looks down on him and calls Stale a fool. She reminds him that he is bound by the contract, which prevents him from taking his own life. After waking up from the dream, he prepares for his upcoming lecture. He finds Pride's handkerchief in his possession, triggering memories of their emotional exchange. Stale reflects on the time when he was forcefully separated from his mother due to his abilities. She kept denying the exchange of her beloved son. Stale opens up about how he learned that Pride is seemingly naive and devised a plan to manipulate her. Recognizing her potential for change, he aimed to become her ideal assistant and an exemplary regent. Pride approaches Stale and invites him to accompany her. Together, they meet with Albert, and Stale is surprised by an exception made for him. Albert presents Stale with an envelope, which, when opened, reveals a letter from his long-lost mother. The gesture leaves Stale to overcome with emotion, and Albert explains that Pride had orchestrated this act of kindness on his behalf. He goes on to reveal that his mother will receive a fixed amount every month, and they will accept one letter from his mother each month, but he can only send one letter each year. Later, Stale uses his teleportation ability and eavesdrops on Chancellor Gilbert and his associates, who are spreading false rumors about Pride to undermine her credibility. Stale's suspicions about Gilbert's motives are confirmed, but he hesitates to expose the truth due to potential disbelief. With time, Stale's loyalty to Pride deepens, and he becomes determined to protect her at any cost. Queen Rosa discusses Pride's forthcoming meeting with Tyara during her birthday celebration. Tyara expresses anxiety about being accepted by Pride and Stale, revealing her insecurities. As the day arrives, the nobles gather to celebrate Tiara's birthday. Stale introduces himself to Rosa with humility, expressing his honor of being part of their family. The nobles notice Tiara's striking resemblance to Rosa, a quality never associated with Pride. Though a twinge of jealousy surfaces within Pride, she dismisses it, reminding herself not to torment Tiara. Tiara extends a warm greeting, addressing Pride as Big Sister. Stale, in turn, introduces himself with the honor of becoming Tiara's older brother. Pride realizes that Stale's actions are strategic, aimed at affirming her as the country's future queen. The three siblings join hands, with Pride declaring their shared dedication to protecting the nation and its people. Rosa reminds Pride of the high expectations they hold for her. Rosa further announces that Pride's precognition ability has matured, confirming her as the rightful heir to the throne. Meanwhile, Gilbert approaches them. He praises Tiara's appearance, regretting that she didn't inherit the precognition ability. Pride interrupts him, inquiring about his intentions. Gilbert seeks to discuss Stale's commoner background, but Stale asserts that he owes his progress to Pride and is committed to serving her alongside Tiara, exhibiting a hint of passive aggression. Turning to Pride, Gilbert probes her thoughts on the country's politics. Before the conversation can delve further, Albert interjects by hitting his head and dragging Gilbert away, leaving Pride pondering the resemblance between Stale and Gilbert. Later, Rosa and Albert discuss Pride's changed demeanor since awakening her abilities. Rosa mentions her initial bad premonitions about Pride, but explains that they dissipated due to unforeseen alterations. Commander Roderick approaches Pride, expressing deep appreciation for her words and congratulating her on her recognition as the heir to the throne. With everyone busy with the celebrations, Pride steps outside of the palace. In a calm, cold night, she makes a solemn vow to dedicate the next decade to serving the country and its people to the best of her abilities. Stale practices in the garden, his focus interrupted by the revelation that he will eventually marry Pride. Despite this being common for adopted siblings, Stale's embarrassment causes him to lose concentration. Tiara and Pride rush to his aid, with Tiara tending to his wounds. In the game's context, Stale's feelings for Tiara develop, prompting Pride to wonder if the same will occur in reality. Considering the shifting world around her, she decides to test her strength by sparring with an instructor. Surprisingly, Pride effortlessly defeats him, realizing she possesses unprecedented skills in self-defense, hinting at her role as the final boss in the game. Stale grapples with his inadequacy, thinking he might become obsolete. However, Pride reassures him and expresses her desire for a future spent with him and Tiara. Her ambition remains anchored in progressing through the game's storyline, yet she hopes to intertwine her days with Stale and Tiara. Pride observes the Royal Knights, greeted by Vice Captain Clark in the absence of the captain due to a joint military exercise. Though the captain's absence irks Stale, Pride remains understanding, asserting her confidence in the Knights' capabilities. Impressed by their skill, Pride reflects on how her character manipulated these knights in the game. Suddenly, news arrives that the captain's group was attacked during the exercise. Despite concerns for her safety, Pride insists on overseeing the situation. At the conference room, Captain Roderick reports the dire situation, stressing dwindling supplies and potential casualties. Pride devises a plan using Stale's teleportation ability to send vital supplies. This unexpected use of Stale's ability surprises the knights and boosts their morale. As supplies arrive, the knights regain their strength, and Stale's hidden talent astonishes them. Amidst the strategy discussion, an idea arises to use Stale's ability for combat, but Pride urges restraint, concerned about the consequences of using such power in warfare. With the reinforcements still minutes away, Pride, utilizing her precognition, senses danger as Roderick's group prepares to ascend a cliff. She warns against it, her orders compelling them to retreat. Roderick's lay becomes trapped, and he faces imminent peril. His slash nullification ability, which renders him immune to sword attacks, proves useless. However, his son appears, urging his survival. The enemy surrounds Roderick, and he readies himself for a final stand. In a surprising turn, a certain man appears among the enemy ranks. This man resists attacks until the enemy resorts to firearms. Roderick's son despairs, but Pride resolves to intervene. She implores Stale to teleport her to the battlefield, a request he initially resists before granting. With Roderick nearly defeated, Pride leaps into action. Dispatching enemies one by one, she showcases her incredible combat prowess despite her age. Pride's determination and skill earned her a formidable reputation among her adversaries. As the cliff edge crumbles, Pride saves a man she recognizes. Urging Roderick to use his ability, she races against time to rescue them from the impending collapse. In the game's story, Roderick's son helplessly witnesses his father's demise, his anger ignited by the perceived neglect of Pride. Fueled by a desire for vengeance, he resolves to become a knight like his father and symbolically cuts his hair to mark his determination to bring Pride to justice. In their world, the collapse of the cliff appears to doom Pride and Roderick. However, an unusual rock formation emerges, saving them from the peril. The arrival of fellow knights further secures their survival. Reunited with the knights, Pride commands the apprehension of the enemies and the care of Roderick's wounds. As her identity becomes known, the knights learn that Pride is a princess, leaving them astounded. The report arrives, revealing 0 casualties, a relief to all. Meanwhile, Stale grapples with his powerlessness to protect Pride amid battle. Roderick urges Pride's swift return to the castle, where she schedules a meeting with him to discuss pressing matters. During the gathering, she encourages the knights to voice their thoughts and extends gratitude for their discretion in keeping her involvement a secret. The discussion turns to how Pride knew of the enemy's unique abilities. While she attributes her knowledge to her precognition ability, it is her game insights that truly inform her. Roderick inquires about her choice to personally engage in the battle. Suggesting she could have alerted the knights instead, she defends her decision, asserting the necessity of her immediate action due to the limitations of Stale's ability. Roderick voices his discontent, arguing that Pride should not have entered the fray. He underscores the knights' readiness to sacrifice for their country. However, Pride counters with her realization that Roderick's son would have suffered had his father perished. She recognizes the value of her own life, which affects those around her. Roderick imparts a lecture on the significance of Pride's life and her responsibility to her nation. Pride acknowledges her actions' implications while reminding him of the lives she saved. She extols the knights' duty to protect their countrymen and emphasizes that they must prioritize preservation over an honorable death. As Pride continues her lecture, she underscores the importance of knights in safeguarding lives. Roderick's perspective shifts as he realizes the weight of her words. Pride's determination to save lives remains unwavering, prompting her apology for the complications her actions caused. Despite initial reluctance, Clark and the knights express gratitude for her intervention. Recognizing the impact of her efforts in saving Roderick, Roderick's son steps forward, expressing his gratitude and determination to become a knight like his father. Pride encourages him, acknowledging his compassion and willingness to protect. Their exchange evokes Arthur Beresford's aspirations, and he promises to safeguard her. As Arthur's identity is revealed, Pride recognizes his role as a potential love interest in the game, where he holds sword skills that surpass her character's. In an unexpected moment, she reveals that he must be ready to confront her as she becomes an enemy of the country. This declaration deeply affects Roderick, who, overwhelmed with gratitude and emotion, thanks Pride for his second chance at life. Amid the tears and expressions of gratitude, Arthur's determination to guide Pride toward the right path intensifies.